What's going on, y'all? Good morning. Back in the shop again today. I've got a video today that's going to be maybe a little bit controversial, may ruffle a few feathers, but I'd like to hear y'all's input on this because it's kind of got my curiosity up now. So y'all stay tuned. Okay, what we're going to talk about, I had a guy this morning that sent me a comment on my channel asking me what my opinion was on leaving a deer the way that it was killed naturally rather than fixing the anatomy of it. This comment came after I made the video where I fixed the deer's busted eye socket. And when I say fixed it, I mean I mounted it, but left the broken eye socket sticking out of the eyelid the way that it was when the hunter killed it. Now, that's what the hunter wanted, so that's what we did. Okay, here's my take on this. I believe that if a deer has got warts on his face, like he has, that he's going to have warts on his face whenever I give it back to the hunter. Now, if the hunter wants those warts removed, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to repair it the best that I can. But it's 100% up to the customer. And as long as somebody makes it where it's not 100% up to the customer, then it's going to be 100% up to the customer to leave your shop and to bring it to me and to let me do what they want. And I'm not going to say that half the deer in my shop have been done that way, but I would be willing to bet that close to a quarter of them have been turned down by other taxidermists because they either had a cape that was too short, a cape that was cut wrong, a cape that had too many holes in it, capes that just weren't able to be used because they've been in the freezer for too long. I mean, whatever. And if I can't use the cape, I'll get them another cape. You know, but the fact is, some taxidermists just lost that customer because of that one deer that they could have gotten a cape for, and the customer would have understood it was fine anyway. But now, if you've got a butt with a busted eye socket and the hunter wants that bone sticking out of the side of his face, you don't tell him no because he's just going to go to somebody that'll do it. Good example of that. I had a skull brought to me. It's been months ago. The deer had been shot in the face. It was bad. Like it'd been shot. I mean, blew off half the thing's face. And the hunter brought it to me, had taken it to somebody that he normally has do his European mounts. And the guy told him that he couldn't fool with it. It was going to be too messed up. Wasn't going to be worth messing with all the small bones. And I asked the guy, I said, well, what do you want done with the small bones? Like, why would he need the small bones? And he said, well, I don't know. I guess because he'd have to put it back together. I said, well, it's shot in the face. I mean, you don't have the bones anyway, most of them. And why would you want to keep some of the little shattered bones that weren't still attached when half the bones are missing anyway? I said, why don't we just get the thing macerated, clean it up, and what's left is left, and you've got your skull that got shot in the face. And he said, man, let's do that. Like that kind of make a cool mount. I'm like, well, I mean, you don't have a choice. If you want a skull mount of deer that's been shot in the head, I mean, you just, it is what it is. But why go ahead and assume that you're going to have to do more work when it's actually going to be less work in the long run if you just talk to the customer just a little bit? And so, you know, I got the money for the skull and probably gained a customer. You know, one thing that they say in retail, it's not a whole lot different than doing taxidermy, is that if you ever lose a customer once to a product that you don't have, then, I mean, it's like an 80 or 90% chance that they'll never come back to that original location, at least not repetitively. Once you help them with something they had a problem with, just out of habit, they'll begin doing business with you because you helped. And, you know, helpfulness, like we've talked about before in other videos, is a dying art. So if you're not willing to do a little work, do a little bit of help, now the customer's not always right. Y'all go ahead and write that down. We'll put that on paper somewhere. The customer's not always right. There's a lot of times that I do have to turn down work because somebody thinks something is true that is not, or whatever. But if you're able to fix something and you say you're not able to fix it or that you refuse to fix it because of your reputation, it just doesn't make any sense to me. In my opinion, I've got deer in a bunch of people's houses that have got messed up stuff on them. But that's what the hunter wanted. Whoever the hunter is, they're the one that's going to be standing there. If somebody else is looking at their mount and trying to criticize it, they're going to be sitting there explaining to them why the mount's done that way and giving you all the praise for having done it and being able to make it look like that again, rather than the other guy who they're going to talk about how they turned the deer down, wouldn't even touch it, didn't want to deal with it because of their reputation. But you took it to old Daniel and boy, he made it look right. And this is exactly how I wanted it. So, you know, when somebody ends up killing one that's a little off or not exactly what they expected or wanted, or something's messed up, then they end up calling me because I'm that guy that'll sit there and fix something crazy if I need to fix it. Now, granted, everybody doesn't have a YouTube channel, you know, and most people would charge out the butt to be able to do some of this stuff, whereas I can repair it and make a video on it, and I'll get paid from those videos. That's why I always ask y'all to subscribe all the time, because those subscriptions help drive my channel. And by doing that, it helps me keep my prices low, helps me, you know, help customers. It helps me mount these deer for cheaper. It helps me do repair work for cheaper. It helps me get deer on people's walls that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford a mount. So, you know, these guys that are charging $800, $900 for a deer mount, that is awesome. And I'm glad that they can get it and they don't have to do as many deer as I do. They're able to make a living, you know, making more money per deer. But what that also does is it also creates an opportunity for guys like me for all these deer that those guys refuse to do because they don't want their reputation on the line because the deer's got an eye socket sticking out of his face, or they don't want to mount a little kid's buck because they can't afford to pay $800 for a 6-point. So, you know, I like the little kids mounts. That's what I like. I love when the little kids kill their first buck. I get to mount it. It's just cool. So, you know, I'd rather have 150 of those than 150 160s. Although I love looking at a big old buck. I love when the kids kill their first, even when the old man, I mean, sometimes I mounted a deer several weeks back. It was a 70-something-year-old man killed his first buck. And boy, he was pumped. That was awesome. But anyway, to answer the question, do you mount a deer the way that it looked when it was harvested, or do you fix it back the other way? I'm going to do what the customer says. And, you know, the heck with my reputation. If people don't think that I've got a decent enough reputation to do their deer, then they can take it somewhere else. But to me, my reputation is based on my value to each customer. So if the customer is happy with my work based on their decision, that is my reputation. So that's my take on it. What do y'all think? As you know, a lot of y'all are taxidermists. In y'all shops, do y'all do this kind of thing? Do y'all repair that kind of thing? Or do you leave it as is? Or do you ask the hunter? You know, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing, but it's worked. To me, I like that relationship more than I like the cookie cutter deer on everybody's wall that is all exactly the same exact thing. I like for every mount I do to look different because deer are as unique as people. And honestly, I respect that animal a lot more than I respect my ability of a taxidermist. And I wouldn't be a taxidermist if it wasn't for deer hunting. I mean, that's my passion. I grew up deer hunting, had to do taxidermy because I couldn't afford to mount all the bucks I was killing. So, you know, it's a great problem to have, but it also creates a lot of respect for that individual animal that I had before I ever started mounting them. So when I see that uniqueness, to me, that is the fun part of my job. I enjoy that uniqueness. So all this work that I have to do on camera, sometimes I get criticized for not charging enough for this extra work, but to me that is interesting. You know, it's crazy to see what some of these bucks go through in their lifetime that have nothing to do with us deer hunters. Like they've got it rough and they have some hard lives way before they was ever shot at. So anyway, guys, really appreciate y'all watching. Y'all comment below, tell me what y'all think, and let's talk about it. Let's see what y'all do in the same situation, or what you would do if you were a taxidermist. Anyway, guys, great to see y'all. Hope y'all have a great day. We'll see y'all in the next video.